Let's take a closer look at the design of the Cupra Ateca. Well, the first thing that you're going to notice when you look at the front is it's got a more aggressive feel than the standard Ateca. Now, the reason for that additional aggression on the front is twofold. First of all, we have this very aggressive looking lower portion of the design here. A lot of this is just aesthetic. This, for example, is completely solid. But I don't mind. I think I can forgive that. I like the way that the styling all works well together to present that aggressive fronting. The other thing that's absolutely key to making this all fit together is the decreased drop height. It's a full 10 millimeters. That's about that, lower than the standard Ateca. 4 meters 38 or 14 feet 4 in length. You can see how the styling here is kept as aggressive as the front. These are, of course, special rims just for the Cupra. They're in the Cupra Classic copper color, but you can have them in different if you're not a big fan of that. Bear with me. Well, they were taking it a little bit gently. I guess that's probably a good thing. Now, there are a couple of styling details that are different here from what you might expect. Being an SUV, it's quite typical to have a black plastic trim going above the wheel arches. Here, they've gone with color matching. Now, Thomas, in his review, wasn't the world's biggest fan of that. I actually quite like it. I think the emphasis on this car should be on the sporty nature of it and a little less on the SUV aspect. Now we come round to the back, and I think this is always going to be the hardest part of the car to design because it's the point at which form most obviously meets function. You have to include the most amount of space, but keep that brand styling. Now, because we have a different brand here from the standard Ateca, it's important to bring across that differentiation. And the way that they've done that here is largely in the lower third. We can see these dark Cupra letters, and I think they work really nicely. Lower down, we have a particularly custom bumper. Now, these 4 exhaust pipes, congratulations, Seat. Sorry, Cupra, for giving us something that really resonates with reality. I think a lot of people are going to be very happy to see these. Genuine, real exhaust pipes. They look and feel great for me. Now, you could say the rear of this car is a little bit too aggressive for a small SUV. But again, I think it really needs to make a statement, and this to me makes just enough of a statement to be right. Let's take a closer look and see what's powering this thing. Well, you're not going to get a gas strut. But what you are going to get is a 2-litre TSI turbo petrol engine. Now, that thing is producing 300 horsepower, 400 newton meters of torque, and all of that power is being delivered by a 7-speed DSG dual-clutch gearbox. So, it's a well-known piece of equipment. It's very nicely put together. And I think the fact that they've managed to put this into a larger body and still achieve within 0.3 seconds of the 0 to 100 time of the Leon Cupra really is testament to the amount of engineering that's gone into delivering this. I've always been a fan of this engine. I think it delivers a really nice balance between power and performance and still not killing you at the petrol station. So, hopefully you'll enjoy driving it as much as I've enjoyed looking at it today.
The conditions we have, when we switch the car to snow, all the electronics will try to help us in order to have the best capacity to transmit this the grip, and also to manage to make the car handle well. So even if we use with the ESC will try to help us, because on snow normally we get understeer when we get in and oversteer when we get out. So the aim of the car is to have the car neutral. So when we get some understeer in the entry of a corner, as soon as we pick up a bit more speed, the system will try to kill this understeer by braking the inside rear tire and make the car slide a little bit. And on the other way around, when we go to oversteer, the car will help us by putting some more traction in the front in order to get the car sliding with the 4 wheels. You see, now we are starting to slide a little bit, but as soon as the car, like now, is understeering, that it suddenly brakes the inside wheel and the car turns a little bit more. On the next corner, I'll force a little bit so we get a little bit of oversteer, and you will realize that as soon as the car starts getting sideways, it will bring some force into the front axle,
Yeah.
And the oversteer is killed straight away.
That's really good.
Same thing will happen in the next corner. So I just wait a little bit. I will go a little bit too much on power, and it goes to neutral again.
And we also want to know what these 300 horses are like when we get to have a little fun with them.
Okay, if that is the case, then next step would be, well, we have two possibilities. One possibility is to switch the ESC to Sport. That will allow us to play on the exit of the corners, but if the situation gets really difficult, at the end it will get and will take care and will take control of the car. If we really want to just have fun, we disconnect it completely, and then I give you a couple of laps and see how the car performs and how the car can play.
Perfect. Well, let's try mid-level first, because this, I think, is more representative of what a normal human being is capable of achieving in a car. And then you get to do a little showing off and show us what you can do in a car,
okay,
which is
so
a little bit different.
I just taking off, so you will see that now when we get out of the corners and I put power, the car will make the sliding much longer.
And how different is your driving experience in the Cupra versus the standard Ateca at this point?
Well, the standard Ateca is not so reactive. We don't have so much power like now. You see now that we start sliding quite well, but on the end of the corners, the car is still under control. We don't lose it inside. We just have the facility to get out of the corner, go sideways, and play a little bit up to a certain angle of drift.
Does
So
that height difference make a difference to how it handles on this course, or really that's only for higher speed driving?
No, this system, these conditions will apply to any kind of driving. So you see that we can start moving, we can start sliding, but as soon as the movement gets a bit too much, the car kills me the speed, and doesn't allow me, for example, to throw it like now. If I want to throw it, it stops the slide. So it's already one step more than before, but not the one I think we can have, which is what I'm gonna do next. So we've done a couple of laps with it in sport mode. Now I'm gonna go to fully deactivate it.
Here we go.
So it's double checking, telling me that's up to you from now on. So I hope I make not big mistakes. But you see now the angle of drift is much higher.
Yeah.
I can throw it from side to side. Then from this moment, the responsibility is mine, not to hit the wall.
Yes.
Also, I can have more wheel spin than before in the tires. If I keep pressing and using the 300 horsepower, I have much more acceleration.
Okay, that's really nice.
And the time we are going sideways, it's also going to be much higher.
That's great. So Jordi, you did a lot of design work here on the course, and you say there's a lot of racing happening here. Have you been doing any racing here?
Not yet, because every time I plan to go racing, something happens. I have an event, so it takes me very busy this year so far. All this winter time.
And how many cars will we have on this course at one time?
Well, maximum number of cars we have here, it's 6 today. But
for racing?
For racing, yeah, they try. This is 1 kilometer circuit, so we try not. Well, they try not to fulfill with too many more cars. But I think it's between 6 to 8 cars that they allow inside.
That seems insane. Does that seem? Jonas is in the back. He looks still pretty comfortable right now. I've got to tell you, it's actually a really pleasant experience going sideways, especially when you have as much trust as we have in Jordi. And needless to say, Jonas would not be looking quite so comfortable if I was driving at the moment. But can you imagine Jonas doing this with 6 other cars on the course?
Yeah, it's a small cars.
that would
well,
be...
and not only 6 other cars that some hit you, some push you, some... that is when really the thing becomes a bit more tricky.
Well, we finally managed to make it to the airport just in time for Jonas to catch his flight after a marathon 4-hour drive here. So, because of the striking in Catalonia today, not quite able to bring you the interior in as much detail as we ordinarily would have liked. But if you want to see a lot more detail in that, please check out Thomas's full review. You'll find that in the comments below. But thanks to our extensive drive back, we have had a more than sufficient amount of time to give this car a really thorough run through its paces. What do we think about it? Well, okay. It is a significant jump up in terms of price over a standard Ateca. You're looking at a base price of 43,000, and if you fully load it, it doesn't take a lot of effort to get to around about 50. So that doesn't make it a cheap car, but it does make it significantly cheaper than its sportier small SUV rivals. So if you're shopping for a sports SUV, then I highly recommend you can take a look, because within that sector, it is very competitively priced. Don't compare it at price point to an Ateca. That isn't what it is. But don't forget, if you stock up the Ateca with all of the whistles and bells, you can take that to pretty close to the same region on money as well.